Okay, so the first thing after the installation, we need to launch our Jupyter notebook, and there are two ways on how you can launch your Jupyter notebook. I'll show you both methods.
Okay.
Let me share my screen. Okay, so the first way is via the terminal. So I'm using Windows, and the Windows Start button, I have my folder there, Anaconda 3 64-bit. You can see it. So I'll just click the drop down arrow, and I have all the elements under the Anaconda distribution. So the first thing, we have the Anaconda Navigator, which is a collection of different base apps that you can use in Python development. We have Anaconda PowerShell. Mostly the PowerShell prompt is used when you want to do some maintenance, but for the scope of our studies, we will not use the Anaconda PowerShell. We have Anaconda prompt. Anaconda prompt, this is the Windows shell where you can launch your Jupyter notebook or install any module or library when you're using Python or rather Jupyter notebook. So some of the elements here are they are optional, like maybe yours you won't see the Jupyter notebook being displayed at this place, or the reset spider settings or the spider. So I'll just go directly. So the first method on how you can launch the Jupyter notebook, you can use the Anaconda prompt. So we'll start with this is the simplest. So mostly for me, I use the Anaconda prompt. So just click the Anaconda prompt, and we have this interface here. Let's wait for it to open. So I hope we are doing this together. We are doing this together. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so we have the file path where all our folders, our files that we'll be using under the Jupyter notebook, where they will be stored. So this is the base location. So we have all our files will be located in the local disk C. So in the users folder, so we have the users folder and a subfolder for user. And these may be different. It doesn't matter. So if yours is not stored under the users, maybe you have chosen the file path to be downloads of documents. No worries. So anytime you want to share your files without opening the Jupyter notebook, you can just go to this folder that you're seeing here, local disk C, users, then user, then you'll be able to access the files with the Jupyter extension. So launching, will have Jupyter with a Y notebook, like that. That's the first method on how you can launch your Jupyter notebook. So I don't want to launch using the first method, since I want us to go through the Anaconda navigator. So you just write Jupyter notebook, then hit enter. Okay, so the second method, you can use the Anaconda navigator. Anaconda navigator basically is a collection of all applications that we can use when we're doing maybe projects, Python development. And the good thing, all the applications have their description. Like when you want to use maybe the Jupyter Lab, you have the description of what the Jupyter Lab does, PyCharm community, the PowerShell prompt, all those. So let's read. My laptop is a bit slow, but let's wait.
Okay.
So meanwhile, any question?
The coding that we're going to be doing, is it strictly for data analytics or it's just coding?
Strictly for data analytics, data science.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Okay, I think it has opened. Okay, just click. So let me first of all click and share again. Okay, so we are at the interface for Anaconda Navigator. So we have the command prompt, which is basically the same as the one from the terminal. And then the Jupyter Lab. Maybe you can check all the description for these ones. But our point of interest is on the Jupyter Notebook. And also I would like to mention on the PyCharm, which mostly in data science you use it in model deployment. Yeah. So maybe later on when we reach to maybe when you want to advance your Python skills to machine learning, we'll be using PyCharm for model deployment of what we call a web development. In our introductory part, we talked about Flask and Django, which are used to create these are frameworks which helps you to create some web applications. So we use the PyCharm instead of Jupyter Notebook because of its ease of use when you're doing model deployment. So I will just show you how to launching the Jupyter Notebook via the Anaconda Navigator. So you just need to click launch. Just click launch. Okay, so I think it's taking a lot of time. But so we have the other version for the Jupyter notebook, which is the Google Colab. Maybe we can have a walkthrough on that before my Jupyter notebook launches. So we can go through the Google Colab. So on your browser, you can write Google Colab. The Google Colab. The Google Colab. So you click on the first link. Welcome to Collaboratory. Just click the first link. Like so, this is the first window under the Google Colab, and you can just scroll down. So we have some videos on how you can uh, learn how to execute, how to create some interactive tables. You can watch that later. But then, just want us to get started. I want us to go to the interface. 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 So this is the interface for Google Colab, and you can see we have, so this is the logo for Google Colab, and then you can see we have the Google Drive logo. So meaning that once you've created a notebook, or all your codes will be stored in your drive. So I find it efficient to use Google Colab, since you can be able to interact with your notebooks anywhere without you maybe having to go back to your local files and transfer your files. So you can be able to access your notebooks anywhere and anytime that you need them. So we have the renaming button here. You can just rename. My my Anaconda Jupyter notebook has not been launched. I don't know if I can still use it for this class. So let me try the other method. It's taking a lot of time launching for the Anaconda Navigator. So Jane, have you been able to launch your Jupyter notebook?
Yes, I have.
Okay, that's great. I don't know if by the terminal I'll be able to, because I wanted us to create a folder where we'll be storing our codes, and maybe we can start off encoding. So let us wait just a little bit. So have you ever interacted with Google Colab?
No.
Okay, so maybe once, maybe in a while, you'll want to use the Google Colab. Also, and you have a large data set, yeah? Because of the runtime, using the local Jupyter notebook, it can take a lot of time. Then maybe you're using a big data. When you want to analyze big data, I think Google Colab will be the easiest one, since this is a virtual machine. Yeah? You don't need any of your space to be able to execute the codes. So once you have, once you've opened, you can rename. You can just click on this rename button and rename. Then we have this ribbon down here. You can have, you can check the file. This is where you can locate your file in the drive. Rarely do we use the open in playground mode. You can create a new notebook, open an existing notebook, upload a notebook from your local files. Of course, you can rename. You can move maybe from one location to another. You can move to trash, that is maybe deleting the notebook. You can save a copy in Drive. You can save a copy as a GitHub guest. So do you have a GitHub account?
No.
A GitHub account is very crucial in your programming journey. So later on, I'll show you how you can create one. And you can see a GitHub account is important more so when you're developing an app in data science and you want other programmers to contribute. So later on, we'll create one. Then we have a save a copy in GitHub, similar to this one. You can download. I think the powered button under this is and downloading and printing. So you can download it as a Jupyter file. So anything you see having a .ipynb. No, I don't know if it's for the integrated or interactive Python notebook. I'm not sure on the I. Is it interactive or integrated? Then we have downloading it in Python file format that you can be able to read in other Python editors like PyCharm, Python 3. Then you can print And printing basically is converting your notebook into PDF format. So I think my Jupyter notebook has launched. But before maybe we move from this part, anytime you are writing a code, you'll have this a code cell. Yeah, this is a code cell, and you can add a code cell below.
Sorry,
Yes, hello.
I'm having a problem with the renaming my file. It's
And the Google Colab or the local Jupyter notebook.
I'm not using the local level. I'm using the one on my laptop.
Okay, okay. Worries. Okay, so just a minute. So I was talking about adding a new code cell. You can add. You can see it's prompting. Just when you just click down below a code cell, you'll have either adding a code or a text. Okay, so we'll discuss this more later. And let me go back to the Jupyter notebook. Mm, Okay, maybe before we proceed to our Jupyter file, let us create a folder for this class. So creating a folder, we have the new button here, so you can click on the drop down, then create a folder. So we can rename our folder. Just a minute, let us create a folder. So the ones that I've created, the untitled folder I've created seconds ago, this one, yeah. So we can rename the folder. So I'll have Python weekday Python weekday 23. This one. So once we are under this folder, so you've created the folder. Hello Jane, are we together? Have you created the folder?
Okay. Let me share my screen so that you see what.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, so this is where I am. Can you see my screen?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay. So you went to new and then folder. This
Yes.
is what I was trying to do. But
Okay.
I'm not seeing.
So scroll down. So the files there have been arranged alphabetically. So untitled folder.
Okay.
Yeah. So you created
This
it.
one.
Yeah.
Okay. Should I double click here?
And then you just scroll up to rename. Scroll up to rename. Rename.
Okay. Okay.
So anytime after launching your notebook, you will be opening this one. And you want maybe for these classes, but for your personal work, maybe you can have another folder. Yeah.
Okay. What should I name it? Is this okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Python for data analytics, yeah, that's fine. Okay, so logging. Okay, sorry. Double click on that
Okay.
folder. And not logging in, just double click. So create a Jupyter file. So new 10 Python 3. Yeah, new. Then yeah, that one. Okay, so
Okay. It's still on title.
so you can just double click untitled. You can rename. So for today we'll discuss Python
Python.
syntax or Python codes. Python syntax is the same as codes. Python syntax.
Okay, syntax.
Yeah, syntax. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Rename. Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine.
Okay.
Okay. So we have the renaming button here. You can just rename directly instead of Python syntax. I hope you can see my screen clearly.
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, so let's have a user interface tour. We have the file. You can create a new notebook. You can open an existing one. You can make a copy. You can save as. Also, you can use the rename button here. So this is an alternative for double clicking the untitled file. You can save and checkpoint, that is saving and maybe checking the progress. But luckily, all our notebook will be saved and checkpointed automatically, so there is no need of you saving and checkpointing manually. Revert to checkpoint, it is reversing. A print preview. So we'll be using this one a lot, maybe when I want to share the files. I'll be converting our notebooks from the notebook format to PDF using print preview. Then we have files, we have different files. You can download as ANSI you can download as HTML, which is closer to the PDF. Like you can be able to transfer your document or read your document anytime without maybe opening it directly to the Jupyter notebook. So for LaTeX, you need to install LaTeX, or we have the Adobe. Adobe, I think it has an extension for LaTeX. We have Markdown, Notebook, and the rest. So, but basically, when you want to convert your notebook to a PDF, you can just click Print Preview. Then, of course, just like any other software, we have close and hard. Instead of you using the X button here, yeah. So mostly in programming, you are advised to use cross and heart instead of the X button. So we have the uh, editing functionalities like cutting cells, copy cells. Though Jupyter Notebook allows it supports the keyboard shortcuts. So for cutting the cells, you can use Control X, Control C for copying, Control P for pasting. Sorry, Control P is for printing, Control V for painting for pasting. And of course, you can maybe when you want to have a larger code cell or want to increase the width or the height of your cells, you can merge cell above, cell below, move cell up like that. So viewing, maybe when you want to have a header, maybe instead of having, when you want all these functions maybe on top of every cell bar, you can use the toggle header or the toggle toolbar. You can have line numbers like 1, 2, 3 for your cells. Then we have a cell toolbar. You can edit the metadata like the dates, row cell formats, and much more. So mostly some of the things you'll not be using here in class, but for your research and development, you can be interested in knowing what does this one, how does this work. You can insert above an existing cell, you can insert below an existing cell like this. Inserting below, you can insert above. So okay, so this was the existing cell, so inserting above and inserting below. So you can run cells, all the cells in your notebook, run cells and select below. I think this pretty straightforward. You can run all, run above, run all below, like that. So the most important feature here is the kernel. So once, since we are using Python for data science and we'll be using different directory, once you've loaded your data, maybe the next time you're coming to analyze your data, it can return some errors, and this mostly you can solve it using restart and run or reconnecting to the kernel, that is reconnecting to the terminal of the server. So you can interrupting a kernel. Basically you can stop, stopping the kernel from running. You can restart a kernel, that is maybe refreshing everything, restart and clear output. And so these ones, this functionality is used maybe when you're teaching students or when you want to give an assignment, so you can restart and clear the output, then give the students some assignment. Restart and run or reconnecting and shut down, completely shutting down your kernel. So I've never used the widgets. Then of course we have a help button. So if you want to have a detailed user interface, you can just click on the user interface. So these are basically the next ribbon. We have these just shortcuts of what we've discussed here. I'll go directly to the run button. So once you want to execute your codes, you can just click on the run. Then we have this key part here. When you want to change a statement, maybe and you want to have statements in Python, maybe for code explanation, or maybe when you are in data science, we talk about the background of your data. When you want to explain features of your data, you can use this function here we call the markdown. When you want to write your statements in point forms, you can use row and b convert. And you want to have headings basically for readability of your notebook. you can have this function here for heading. Remember, in programming, good coding practices, we say that a good code is not that that one that a computer can read, but that which human can be able to read and interact. And in this journey, you'll not be working alone. In data science, we have teams, and you want when you present your report, someone can be able to understand what you are doing. So for today, we'll start discussing the Python syntax or Python code, yeah. And a code is a set of instructions that executes and performs.
Sorry, your words are not very clear.
Hello.
Your words are not very clear.
Okay, sorry. So saying I start discussing a Python syntax or Python codes, and a code is a set of instructions that executes and perform a specific task. So this one is not a code, this is a statement, yeah. So we run it as a markdown. Since this is a statement, is not a code. So a code is a set of instructions that executes and perform a specific task. So we'll start with the simplest code. We'll have the print hello world. So the print function, so I'll have a comment. We'll discuss comments later. A print displays, the print function displays, yeah, it displays see it displays a given statement. So this is the statement that you want to print or to display. So this is the simplest code in Python, printing hello world. Print hello world. You can print another one, print Python for data science, Python for data science, Python for data science, Python for data science. In your coding journey, you'll find something we call Python comments or comments, basically comments. Anywhere in programming, we have comments. And the comments are used to explain a Python code as they make the code more readable, and also they kind of they prevent execution when testing the codes. So identifying a Python comment, we use a hashtag. Any programming language, it has its own way in how they define the comment. So for example, in MySQL, they use the hyphens, two hyphens to indicate a comment. In Python, we use hashtags to present a comment. So for example, this one is a comment. This is a comment, and you can see that it makes the code more readable, and also it explains the code. So you are explaining what the print function does. So Python comments And by the way, when you want to have the point forms, you can use the asterisk. The asterisk is shift 8. I want us to have these comments comments can be used. It can be used to explain a Python code. Also make code more readable. Also can be used to prevent execution. And testing the code. And lastly, the comment starts with a hashtag. Hashtag. So you run this as markdown. You can have an example. Our first code is just an example. Our first code, we've printed hello world. Print hello world. Yeah. Hello world. Another example, you can have our first programming class. First programming class printed Python. These are just a few examples how we write comments. And by the way, we don't have a simpler way in writing multiple comments, like a multi-line comment. So for example, if you have maybe you want to write 3 comments for maybe one code, you just need to write like to have a hashtag for every comment that you'll have in your code. Hello?
Yes, I was saying.
Okay. So you can go to arithmetic operations in Python. Arithmetic operations in Python. So you can have a comment. So addition in Python. So adding 2 numbers in Python, you just use a plus sign. So these are just some arbitrary numbers. So you can have yours. Just adding 2 numbers. Subtraction. You just have the minus, the subtraction sign, the normal one. Multiplication. So for multiplication, we use the asterisk. So 4 multiplied by 5 and 7 multiplied by 9 For division, we use a slash. You want to divide, so you use a slash. So 80 divided by 5. 80 divided by 5. We have something in mathematics we call exponents or power. Exponents stroke as a power. For example, 2 to the power of 2. So the exponents will have 2 asterisks for the exponents. So 2 to the power of 2, 2 to the power of 3. We have getting the modulus, although this mostly when all these arithmetic operations, we incorporate them in simple programs, maybe where you want to create a program that displays all the odd numbers or even numbers. Or maybe when you want to create a function that indicates which adds the overtime to all employee salary in a company. So maybe this is also an important thing, getting the modulus. So the modulus, we call it the modulus. So we use the percentage sign. Modulus is just the remainder. In simple terms, the remainder. So when we divide 11 by 2, the remainder will be 1, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So 20 by 3, percentage 3, the remainder is 2, yeah? Because of 18, 20 minus 18, that's 2. We can have some rounding off functions when you want to round off a number to certain decimal points. For example, you can have a number like 10 divided by 3. This is just an example. And you want to round off to certain number of decimals. You can have, so allow me to store this in a variable called a. And my a, when I call my a, this is the answer. And I want to round this a to certain number of decimal places. I just round a, so round, this is the item a.
Okay, round is already an inbuilt function.
Yeah, this is a keyword.
Okay.
Yeah, so any keyword in Python, you'll notice that they will be changing the color. Yeah, it will be different from
Yeah.
other Python objects. Like the print,
Okay.
Python has
Yes, yes.
around 30 keywords. Maybe later on you can, in your free time, you can check. Yeah? You'll not be able to go through all of them here in class, so you can check them. So we have the item which is a, then we are interested in rounding this to 2 decimal places, so you can have comma 2. If you are interested in rounding to 3 decimal places, round this item a to 3, to 4, to 5, like that, to 10, like that. Any question?
Okay, I wanted to ask on the division because we are dividing with an even number, and then it's giving us a float instead of an integer.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So does it mean that in this Python, like there's no whole number, like it doesn't give you if it's an even number?
Okay, so in Python it supports what you call the float division. So
Okay.
when maybe you want to display an integer, you can convert this. We call it casting. In Python it's allowed to cast a variable. For example, you can have this as b, and you can indicate that instead of displaying it as float, yeah, you want it to be an integer. Yeah, so we call it casting. So we can just int b. By default, Python allows for float division, so you can cast this into an integer whole number like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other question?
No. Okay.
Okay. So we will start with data types in Python. Data types in Python, and Python has two types of data types. We have structured, the structured data. We have the structured uh, data types and the unstructured ones. So we start with the structured. Sorry, a minute. Talking about the data types. Before we discuss the data types, yeah. So data types basically, before going to the different types of data types we have in Python, data types are these a way in which uh, a type of data is stored in Python or any other programming language. So we have the basic data types. And for example, we've discussed Python numbers. And I think you're familiar with this. I've heard you talking about floats, integers.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So we have the basic data types, and also we have the structured, which are mostly will be structured from the basic ones. Yeah. So the structured ones, examples we have the what do we call it? We have the strings. Sorry, we have the list, the dictionaries, the tuples, the sets. Then for the unstructured ones, we have the JS, the JSON file format, which mostly comes as an unstructured data structure. So I can start with the strings for today. The strings in Python, and have it as heading 3 string. Then if you want to write different headings, there are different levels of headings. You can be using the hashtags and spaces. So if you want to write a statement in heading 1, which is the largest heading, at the level of heading, we have heading 1, heading 2. You can use 2
Okay.
hashtags. Heading 3, you can use 3 hashtags and space. Heading 4, you can use 4 hashtags and a space. So heading 3 will be smaller than heading 2. So we'll start with strings. strings. In strings, these are, or a string, let me call it a string, is a sequence of characters, and on characters you're talking about symbols. We have alphabets and numeric symbols we are talking about underscores. We have any symbol, of commas, full stops. So a sequence of characters, symbols, alphabet, numeric, enclosed in single or double quotation marks. Single or double quotation marks. So we have this word here. We can still use hello world. So a variable a to be equals to hello world. So you can define a string in double or single quotation marks. Yeah? So hello world, and when you call this is a string. Yeah, this is a string. This is why we have the quotation marks around the string. But if you want to remove this, you can use print. Print removes the quotation mark. You can print. So print hello world. We've displayed that statement. Hello world is a string. We can have another one, variable b to store Python for data science. And also we call b. Strings mostly are used in what you call the NLP. The NLP is the natural language processing. This is under machine learning, and in this course you're talking about data, and data can be of different formats. You can analyze a book, you can analyze Twitter sentiments or comments. So remember, since this data can be able to analyze any form of data, so you may be interested in knowing how do we, maybe you want to analyze a book maybe by Shakespeare. How can you do that? In that topic we talk about multi-line strings. When you have maybe a paragraph that you want to analyze, how do we define that string? The multi-line, have it under the multi-line string.
How I did not pay attention here. How we got Python for data science. Then the B, we do not use the command print. We do not use the function.
Okay, so I just called it directly. Yeah. So
Okay, so you can call it directly.
yeah, you can call it directly, but if you want to remove the quotation marks, yeah. So remember, B
Yes,
is a string. So if you want
yes.
to maybe do away with the quotation marks, you can print. You can
Okay.
print B. Multi-line string. We want to use it as a heading. Okay, we can have paragraph, a variable paragraph to be equals to, so anytime you want to anytime you want to have write multi-line strings, you can use triple quotation marks. You can choose double or single, so for me I'll just use double, so triple quotation marks. Then inside the triple quotation marks you can write your paragraph, and because of time I'll just copy the paragraph from the internet. I'll just copy it. Just a minute. So you can just take any paragraph that you have and paste it inside the triple quotation mark. So if I print, so this is my paragraph.
Okay.
We can try string methods like accessing the length of a string length.
So if
Okay.
you use single quotes or double quotes, it will not come out as
Okay. You used?
if you use single quotes or double quotes, it will not come out as a multi-line string.
Okay. Have you used the triple, like do you have triple quotation marks? They can be double or single. So you've used which ones?
I was asking whether, since we're talking about a multi-line string,
Mm-hmm.
so if we have to use a double quote or a single quote,
Mm-hmm.
will it come out as a multi-line?
Okay, sometimes it returns an error.
Okay.
Also, where the word limit, you can try. Where the word,
Yeah.
the character's limit is beyond some value. So let's try. So I've used, okay, so double, then here double. Okay, I think this one is under threshold of the characters, but I've seen a situation where after defining, maybe for those paragraphs with um beyond, I don't know if it's 200 characters. I don't know the length of this
Okay.
one. We'll just check it. String length. So the length of a string, accessing the number of characters for your string, we use the len function. So we had a string, we give it a variable a, so we can check the length. We have 11 characters. 11 characters. This one, 11 characters. You can count them manually, yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, including the blank spaces. Blank spaces in Python are also characters. So we have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. The length of B, D, and the length of the paragraph. Paragraph, this one. 218. 218. Okay, do you have any question?
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay. We can do string operations like slicing. How do we slice? How do we return a range of index, or at the range of, maybe when you want to uh, slice get a portion that is a range of strings. And lastly, we can check how do we combine strings, or what we call concatenating, string concatenation. But let's first of all start with indexing. All this will be under string operations. String operations. If, for example, I want to use another variable, we can have ice cream as a variable. Then there is something to note here. When you want to return an index is the position for a particular string. Python starts indexing from 0. Have a comment here. Python starts Python index starts from 0. For example, we have our variable text and you want to access the string element at index 0. You have I, yeah. You want to access the element at index uh, to 3, 4, index 4.